Okay, so I put this section of the video at the front of the video, so this is meant as a quick explanation for those that don't have time. The fuel filter is on this side. This is a 2000 Camry. It happens to be a station wagon. So that's the fuel filter there. And what you need to do is come in and undo the top, then the bottom. Then you'll need to undo the support, little support bolt. There's a bracket that goes right around the fuel filter. Undo that and drop it out. To undo that, you'll need something like a very small wrench. I think that's a 10mm socket, and possibly a swivel joint. So that's what you'll need to undo the bracket. I can't recommend this because when I tighten it up, the metal line skipped across the top of a crown there, and is now on the middle of the two crowns, so that didn't retain the fuel line. I'll now film where I got it from and how much it was, and the make and everything. Okay, so this is the information here. I got the air filter, engine air filter, the engine oil filter, the fuel filter. That's the deal. Can I recommend this? No, because the crown collapsed. That's the top of the fuel filter. Okay, here we have a 2000 Toyota Camry, and we're going to attempt to change the fuel filter without removing too many components, like for instance the air filter. But the fuel filter on these cars is just down here. That's the air filter battery. So we're coming down here for this job. I'm just using this small light. I find it the best type of light, and that's the fuel filter there. So that's the line coming out to the engine, and the bottom one down there is the line from the fuel tank coming in. So it goes in at the underneath. The fuel works its way up through the filter and up through this hose here to the fuel injectors. So this is what I'm going to attempt to do. Is I'm going to get off the top line here. That will allow me enough room to swing this. I've just got a small swivel joint. I think that's a 10mm, and this is a very small ratchet spanner. So there's three components to tackle here. There's the top line, the bottom line, and there's a small 10mm screw on the bracket there. We have to loosen that off so that we can remove the fuel filter, and that's it just there. So that's it just there, and that's got a bracket going around the body of the fuel filter. So I think that's the first thing to start, is just here, and remove that line. Okay, so far I've sprayed a little bit of this solution down on the screw holding the bracket and holding the fuel filter in place. That one there. Okay, I'm going to undo this banjo bolt fitting here so that I can remove this line off the top. Okay, for this we've got a 17mm socket. Okay, we can't do that. Okay, what we have to do is we have to find a spanner that will fit around this this nut here, and Okay, so what we do is I've got a 19 millimeter spanner, and that'll fit around there. So there's one on the top. So what we have to do is get in behind, underneath, and there's two threaded areas underneath the filter on top of the gearbox, I think it is. And you just put two screws into those two threaded areas, and this will hold it in place. It'll hold this steady while we undo the banjo bolt. Okay, so there's the engine and there's the transmission, and you may be able to see them there. There's two bolts there. There's one there and one there. So there's the filter, and there's a filter there, and there's the two screws on top of the transmission there. So you've got to find two screws, and then we go with our spanner from the filter across, and we put them possibly in the middle or to one side. Okay, so you can see possibly down there the spanner. So that's the spanner there, and that runs, and it's held in by one of the screws there. I'll just try and get some focus on that. So that's it resting through there. Comes off the body of the filter and through to there. What I did was I turned the filter, and I tightened the filter. I turned the filter and tightened the spanner onto the mounting screws down there. So now I'm able to undo the banjo bolt. Now don't lose your washer there. It's better to use new washers. However, they don't always come with the filter. So that's what these little these telescopic magnets are for. So they just collapse down, and I think it's copper. So I don't know if it's going to work, but let's try to pick it up. No, it's not good at all. Okay, the answer is no. A magnet won't pick up a piece of copper. Okay, good news. I was able to get those two washers. I used a combination of these to work it out, and on top of the filter, and I was able to pry it out. This unfortunately is rounded. It's a rounded bolt. Might be able to get some focus on that. So that's rounded off. It didn't slip when I removed it, and I put quite a lot of pressure on it, so it might be okay. It could be an imperial head and somebody smashed the socket onto it. It's rounded, but it will fit in there. There's not much movement. Now that there is, I'm just doing a mock-up for a future fuel pressure gauge, and that's an adaptation on top of the fuel filter there. So that's a banjo bolt adaptation for an outlet on the top, So that seems to be going well, and I'll just bring some fuel hose up here and across there and have the fuel gauge there. So that's looking pretty good. So that's it removed. That's the adaptation there with the outlet. As we can see, the threads are similar. This one looks a little bit bigger. The hole in the adapter probably needs to be made a little bit bigger and dished out, just like this one here. It's a bit bigger, and they've got a dish out here so that if you turn it too much or not enough, the fuel will still find its way up and through and into the engine. I got that on Amazon. Okay, now for this work to be successful, we have to undo the small retaining bolt or screw just there, and undo the underneath bolt and remove the filter. Okay, I am now able to undo that retaining nut there, holding the bracket, the fuel filter bracket. Okay, so at this stage I've got the bottom of the car jacked up. I've got the wood on these pine sleepers. Got the weight of the car on this wood, so it's safe. And I've got this side of the car. The wheel is chocked there with bricks. The proper way to go about it is to undo the top of the fuel filter, and then you'll have to reposition the spanner, because it actually turns the opposite way because you're working from underneath. Position the spanner, then undo the bottom fuel connection, and then you can go about removing the fuel filter. But you live and learn. I'll give you a shot of underneath there. Okay, so that's we're now underneath the car, and you can probably see there underneath the fuel filter, and I've undone the pressure mounting screw underneath, and it's held. The fuel filter is still held in place with the spanner. Okay, at this stage the pressure coupling is removed there from the bottom of the fuel filter. Okay, so now that I've undone the top fuel line and bottom fuel line nuts there, I'm now going to undo the small nut holding the fuel filter in place. So the fuel filter body is roughly 25 millimeters above the top of the bracket there holding the fuel filter. I eventually found that I didn't need this swivel adapter here, just the small spanner and the socket. Okay, so there's the old fuel filter. There's a new one, and actually, does that seem bigger? Okay, so I'll put the date of the changeover and the kilometres. Okay, so here we've got in, so that would be underneath, and out. Out's written just there, and so this would be the top. It drops out down the bottom, and you bring it up through the past the bracket. So when I painted this, I just closed up the inlet and the outlet, just so that no paint would get in. Okay, so there we see a better view. We see the bracket there with the inlet from the tank underneath, and the top, the outlet to the motor, sorry, to the engine, is hidden away just under there. Okay, so there's a better view. We see the outlet on top, and through right down underneath there is the bracket and inlet. The good thing about the crown on top of the filter is you can't lose your washer. So I've placed the washer there, and this other washer goes on top. So now I'm good to put the rest of it together. So I've got the washer on there and the banjo bolt, and that can just go down there, and that's now in place. So I'll connect the bottom fuel hose, and then we'll tighten them up, and that's it, we're done. Just to let you know, I've just recently purchased this this car. I haven't done this work before, so this is my first time. Like a lot of my videos, it's the first time I'm doing the work, and you're seeing it me doing it the first time. Not an expert in this particular job. Degree of difficulty, first time is possibly an 8.5 to a 9. It will get easier. I do intend on replacing this fuel filter once a year, so it shouldn't be as hard the next time. Okay, I've got my spanner positioned down there underneath, and now I'll undo. I'll tighten up the top. Nut there. Okay, I'm going to call this fuel filter a fail. The reason I'm going to do that is because the top crown here has actually given way. So we've got these lock-in tabs here, and when I tightened this up, the fuel line went across and was able to bridge across the top of this of the crown underneath it now. So that's not good. Okay, I'll go ahead and position the spanner on the other side, if that'll focus, on the other side of the that small screw sticking up there. Okay, so that's done, and I'll get underneath the car and tighten up the fuel inlet hose there. Okay, so with the engine started, we're going to have a look for fuel leaks. And I'll have a look underneath the engine. Okay, so we'll wrap this video up now. Okay, so it's looking like the small screw there that holds this bracket on, that holds the filter in place, that'll have to be done up first. So because you can't really swing a small socket wrench, so it'll be something like when you're tightening it up, when you've installed the new one, tighten up that, then the bottom and then the top fuel lines. This may be of more help. Really what you've got to do is just temporarily remove this canister here. So I'm having a look and I see there's a screw on this side and this side. You may be able to undo those two screws, drop this down, and then you've got complete access to this this area here. So that's removing that would make the job much easier. I think that's what I'll do next time. Just trying to provide a better view of those retaining screws. So you may be able to see one there and there's one down there. So maybe undoing those two, dropping this or disconnecting it, and even removing it up out of the top will make the job a lot easier. So just in summary, as you're coming into the job fresh, this is how I'd approach it the second time. Jack the car up, put it up on blocks, chock the wheels to provide access to underneath, and you've got safety. I would undo the top nut and then the bottom nut and then the retaining screw for the frame, the holding support frame around the filter. And but next time I'd remove this anti-pollution canister temporarily, then put it back. Okay, I hope this video helps. It's not an easy job. I'm pretty sure that there's far better places that it could have been positioned for accessibility and maintenance. Maybe a bit higher in this section here would have been far better. However, it is fuel, and you do want it away from the material here of the firewall. So again, I sincerely hope this is helpful, and please like and subscribe.